Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Tom's Gadget Garage. Today I am going to be doing a tire change of sorts on this Emove Cruiser V2. As you can see, and I did cover this in my first impressions video, but this tire is clearly on backwards. The tread is going in the wrong direction. Hasn't impacted the ride, but then again, I'm not riding around in wet or rainy conditions. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to get this flipped around. So what we're going to have to do is remove this tire and wheel assembly, get the tire off, put it back on the wheel, all that fun stuff. Some of the tools that I'm going to be using today are going to be these rim protectors that are going to be important when we're using tire spoons. Now we've got our Allen key set, we've got a socket wrench, a crescent wrench, as well as one of my favorite air pumps. I'm not sure if this is going to do the job because we do have to get the bead reseated in the rim. We might need higher pressure air, but whatever, we'll give it a try. But anyways, let's jump right into it. So one thing I do want to mention about this Emove Cruiser V2 is that this is the single motor version. So here in the back, you've got this glorious split rim with a tubeless pneumatic tire. These are super easy to do tire changes on. If we work our way to the front, you'll see there's no motor, which means there is no split rim. So this is going to be a little bit more of a challenge, but it's definitely not rocket science. It's doable as long as you have the right tools. Now, if you are interested in learning more about this Emove Cruiser from Voro Motors, I will post the entire playlist of all the videos I've made on this scooter. And if you do want to buy one, I will include an affiliate link in the description below, as well as any available coupons. And if you use that to make your purchase, absolutely help support this channel, keeps the wheels moving on future reviews. Now, the reason why I'm recommending both a crescent wrench and a socket wrench is that if you were to turn this nut here, it will actually turn the other nut on the other side of the wheel as well, because they're both connected via a shaft. And so in order to get these loose, you have to hold one down while you loosen up the other one. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. So this is going to use a 17mm socket. I also have the crescent wrench adjusted to 17mm. And I'm going to use the crescent wrench to hold this stationary. And I'm going to use my socket wrench here on the other side to loosen things up. I did pre-loosen this a little bit so that you don't have to watch me struggle too hard with this. We'll get that nice and loose here. Okay. That's nice and loose so that we can hand loosen that here in a moment. What I'm going to go ahead and do now is get these brakes removed. Next, we're going to use a 5mm Allen key, and we are going to loosen up these brake calipers here. We're actually going to be taking them off completely, so just make sure you get the washer with it. And you got to do that on both sides. All right, there we go. That is off. And we'll just hang that to the side. Now that we've got the brake out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and loosen this up. This pops right off on the other side. As you can see, we've got a locking washer here as well as that axle nut. Go ahead and put that to the side here. And in order to take out this axle of sorts, you're actually going to need something like a rubber mallet to start tapping this out. But we're going to go ahead and do that now. So as you can see, I'm using my mallet to kind of tap this through. Let's see if it comes clean off. Oh, it might. Okay. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is hold this wheel assembly, and just make sure that if you have this thing propped up, when you take this front wheel off, it's going to change the balance of the scooter. So, you know, it might have a tendency to fall backwards or something. Anyways, just want to be sure you avoid that. But I'm going to pull this out here. Okay, boom, that is removed, and we can go ahead and pull this out, and just keep in mind there are spacers here. Okay, there are spacers here that go on either side. Just make sure that you understand where those spacers were, so you might want to take a picture ahead of time, but it's pretty simple. It's this longer end goes on this side, it's the shorter end, it goes on this side. All right, so next up, we're going to need to take these little hex screws out of here, and we're going to use a 4mm Allen key to do that. So I'm just going to go through and loosen these up. They are quite tight, and we'll just go through and do that for all of them. All right, once all that's done, you can carefully lift this off. I try and avoid touching the surface of this because that gets oils and stuff on there, but either way, at the end of this, we're going to rub it down with some alcohol. Now, once you get that disc removed, the bolts removed and everything, you're going to want to lift this up, right? So this goes on here. We're going to go ahead and take that off so it doesn't fall. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is get this turned around, and we're going to let the air out of this tire. That's going to be really important. Now once you have all the air out of this tire, you're going to want to make sure that you break the bead, right? You can try pressing on this, but in order to make life easier, if you have some kind of a clamp, you can use that to clamp the tire down. And then this will, there we go, you heard the pop. That'll break the bead for us. And I'm just going to go around the tire and do the same thing again, just to make sure we've got it broken everywhere where we need it to be broken. And it is, I think we're good. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is get this little rim protector installed here. So if you just press this, you can, get a nice little separation here, which will allow you plenty of room to get this little rim guard installed. And once that's in there, I think this is made for a car, so it's not like perfect, but whatever. Once you get that in there, you're going to get your tire spoon, and you're just going to lift. And one little trick that you have here is you can insert something like this, and then you can use that to kind of move this and get that bead lifted up. And once you get it past a certain point, then it's easy. You can actually remove this. We'll remove that later, and then you just get this lifted up, and look at that. We've got it detached from the rim on this side. Beautiful. Go ahead and take this out now. And then on the other side, you can actually just pull this out, and voila, we are good to go with this. Now, as you can see, this is how we have this oriented. We've got the tread going this way. Obviously, we want the tread going the other direction. So in order to fix that, all we have to do is this, and now we have the tread going in the right direction. Now, I don't know how well you can see this on the camera, but there is a shiny, sticky layer on the inside of that. That's basically the self-healing gel in this tire. So if you were to run over a nail or a screw or something, it's going to do whatever it can to automatically fill that puncture and keep air from escaping. Anyways, what I'm going to go ahead and do is place the tire back on the rim. I'm just going to push it down like so. And then our next challenge is to get this bead back over the rim, and we're going to attempt to do that now. Now for this particular part, something like a clamp can come in handy. I'm actually going to do it here on the valve side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to position this like this, and I'm going to take the clamp and clamp this down just a bit. That way this will hold its position, and then we can kind of work this thing back on. And then this is where our tire spoons are going to come into play. We don't have to worry too much about scratching stuff because it's doing all the work on the inside of the rim. And this is where multiple tire spoons can come in handy. So I'm going to go ahead and work this on here like so. And then we're going to just work this all the way around. Okay, use a little leverage there. Got that up and over. We'll pull that out. We'll come over here. Use a little leverage there. Get that side up and over. And then we'll do the same thing over here. Use a little leverage. Get that up and over. And as you can see, we're slowly working our way over. All right, folks, I went ahead and got the tire reseated on the wheel. And like I said, it's just a matter of using these tire spoons and, maybe a clamp if you have one. But you basically think of this as a big, gigantic rubber band that you need to stretch over that rim. And so it might take, 2, maybe even 3 tire spoons to allow you to do that, or a couple tire spoons and a clamp. But either way, I was able to get it. I will say it is a little bit of an exercise in patience, but as long as you methodically work one side then the other and then work the sides, you should be able to get it right on. So once you get this tire back on the rim on both sides, of course, the next challenge is going to be to inflate this tire as quickly as possible to get these beads to reseat to the rim. Now, using an electric pump like this is probably not going to do the job. because it's not able to apply enough pressure fast enough to get these things to pop into place. So in order to do that, you could go to a gas station, use one of their filling stations, or if you've got compressed air, like a compressed air tank and air compressor, you can absolutely use that. I actually use this like floor bike pump here, and basically I just attached the nozzle to the valve here, and I aggressively pumped this for like 15 seconds as hard as I could non-stop, and that was able to get this to reseat, and now it's absolutely fabulous. So that worked for me. If it doesn't work for you, you can always go to the gas station, use one of their filling stations. All right, folks, now that we got the tire situated, we're gonna go ahead and re-add this plate, as well as our nicely cleaned off with rubbing alcohol disc. And then we're gonna go ahead and tighten these screws down. Now, one thing I do wanna mention is this could be a good opportunity to reapply some thread locker. So if these are, loose, easy to tighten down, some thread locker might be in order. It looks like they use some kind of white thread lock on this, which made these actually, some of these at least, very difficult to get out. So I'm not gonna apply anymore. I'm gonna just use whatever is already on these screws. So what I'll go ahead and do now is just alternate tightening these down. All right, and once these are nice and tight, we can work on getting this back to the front of the scooter. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna go ahead and reinsert this bolt, and we wanna make sure that we get our spacer here on this side. Also make sure you have your locking washer, that's important. And then what we'll do is slowly work this over, and then at least get it inserted into just this one side of the tire. And once that's in there, we can then take our longer spacer and position that on the other side. And once we have that properly inserted, we'll go ahead and get our locking washer in place on the other side. And then we'll get our nut here tightened down by hand. Make sure everything is spinning nice and true, and it is. And then we can start tightening things down. All right, so once we make sure that our locking washers are in their, respective slots, we can start tightening things down. Now, once everything is nice and tight, we can go ahead and position the calipers over the rotors. Get them nice and aligned there. Then we'll get our screws in position and then tighten these down. We'll do the same with the other one. Not too tight because we are going to need to make some adjustments. Now, once these are in position, we do want to make sure that they are centered over the rotor. We don't have any kind of rubbing, and we'll tighten these down. Now, these are a little bit of a pain because when you tighten them, they do cause the caliper to shift a little bit. So you got to kind of counteract that. We'll spin it. Okay, we got a little bit of rubbing. So I'm going to go ahead and move it over just a little bit. Okay, let's try that. That's a lot cleaner. Let's see if we can hold that position. We'll tighten the top one a little bit. Spin. All right, that's perfect. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just torque these down a bit, and then we'll test everything out. All right, so I got those nicely tightened down. I'm spinning them. No kind of rubbing. I'll hit the brakes. They lock. We'll go again. No noise. I'll hit the brakes. They lock up. Just perfect. Now the only thing left for me to do here is to fill this up to 42 psi, which we'll do now. There we go. And we'll just get our Little valve cap back on. Now, if you do want to pick up one of these pumps, I will include a link in the description below. I also did a review on this. I actually take this with me everywhere. It does a great job, nice and portable. But I will include links to all the tools that I used in the description below. That way you have an idea of what I used for this today. And like I said, the clamps are optional, but they sure as heck make the job a whole lot easier. But anyways, as you can see, we've got the tread going in the right direction now. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns in the comment section below. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in to Tom's Gadget Garage. We'll see you next time.